Another Wednesday means another load of new horror comics out on the shelves in comic book shops, and there's a lot of them this week. Let's check out what's new in horror comic shops, June 30th, 2021. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Here's what's new in horror in comic shops today, June 30th, 2021. Dose number 3 from It's Alive Comics. The story is by Sean Ellis and the art is by John Gebbia. I love the title of this comic, which seems to be telling tales mixing drugs with horror. In this issue, we meet Screwworm, a drug-addicted former sidekick who is trying to keep up the heroics despite his addiction. We've seen heroes dealing with addiction in recovery, but most comics rush past the actual taking of the drugs part of the addiction. Sean Ellis seems to be developing a seedy and dank world filled with reptilian prostitutes, mixing fantasy, horror, and all sorts of twisted psychedelics. Teether, Long and Lonesome Road number 1 is from Antarctic Press. The story and art are by David Hutchison. I read the first Teether series, which had the toothy titular monster laying siege on a school full of kids and teachers. The design of the monster, all gnarly teeth and gritty terror, is of course a winner. This book is filled with all kinds of cool carnage. I'm interested in seeing how writer-artist David Hutchison expands the story in this second series. Midnight Western Theater number 2 is from Scout Comics. The story is by Louis Southard, and the art is by David Hahn. I do love me a good anthology, and mixing horror with the Western genre, while difficult to do, is amazing when done right. I'm eager to see if Scout Comics delivers with this one. Scout's churning out some solid horror these days, and it's anthologies like this one that got me into comics and horror in the first place. Here's hoping some of these weird Western tales are worth it. Next up is Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, number 128 from Broadsword Comics. The story and art are by Jim Balent. I find it fascinating that longtime Catwoman artist Jim Balent is still putting out his ultra-porny occult adventure tale, Tarot. Yes, the boobs and butts are aplenty, but it seems there actually is some kind of story afoot here in spite of all the skin shown. I can't say I've ever read an issue of this book, but it's released 128 issues so far, so Balent has to be doing something right. Tales Told in Technicolor is another anthology from Scout Comics. The story is by Kiyarn Taghan, and the art is by Christian Dibari. My good buddy Christian Dibari did the art on this book, and I can't wait to see it come to life. I've heard a lot of good things, and Dibari's art is the stuff of nightmares, so at the very least, it's all going to look damn good and terrifying. This seems to be another horror anthology from Scout, who is impressing me more and more with the amount of horror it's releasing to the masses. Witchblood number 4 from Vault Comics. The story is by Matthew Erman, and the art is by Lisa Sterle. While the color scheme on the cover is a little bit 2018, Witchblood seems like a fun enough premise. It's witches versus vampires in the Old West. Pretty cool. While the Dayglow art suggests the horror might be of the lighter tone, I could be wrong. Parasomnia number 1 is from Dark Horse Comics. The story is by Cullen Bunn, and the art is by Andrea Mutti. Hey, it's been a week since Cullen Bunn has released a new series, so I guess it's high time for another one. That guy needs to quit slacking. This one takes place in a world where the waking and nightmare worlds collide. Art by Andrea Mutti from The Maniac of New York guarantees that this will be a tonally moody and terrifying book. Next is Barbaric number 1 by Vault Comics. The story is by Michael Morici, and the art is by Nathan Gooden. Another good pal of mine, Michael Morici, delivers a winner of a premise from Vault this week. Barbaric focuses on a bloodthirsty barbarian whose only friend is his even more bloodthirsty axe. The axe talks with the barbarian and demands more carnage and blood, and I'm sure this series will deliver just that. I can't wait to see this fun, bloody, barbarian carnage style book. Red Room number 2 is from Fantagraphics Books. The story and art is by Ed Piskor. I was finally able to pick up a copy of Red Room #1 this week, and we'll be delving into it soon. Looks like the second issue is coming out this week, so I'd better get reading this highly detailed, totally twisted, story-dense, and morally wrong book that brags about being banned in 5 countries and boasts that it's the goriest and sickest comic on the stands today. Just from leafing through the first issue, I'm compelled to agree. Finally, we have Department of Truth from Image Comics. The story is by James Tynion IV, with art by Martin Simmons. This is another book I snoozed on, but with Something is Killing the Children knocking my socks off currently, I think the Department of Truth is going to be the next series I check out. Issue 1 has released its 6th printing, so it seems people like it. To top it all off, this is a Bigfoot issue, and you all know how much I love that. Looking forward to catching up with this entire series very soon. That's it in horror this week. Anything sound good to you? Let's talk about them down in the comments. That'll be it for today. Please chime in down below in the comments and let me know how on the nose or mind-numbingly wrong I am, or you can counter with your own review. So guys, you know how YouTube works. I'd love to be able to dedicate more time to this channel. I'm not monetized yet, so if you want to help me out, remember to hit all the pertinent bells and whistles down below. Want some spooky comics to read? I have 2 new horror comic book trade paperbacks you should look out for. Both Grave Trancers and Pirouette, collecting never-before-published issues, can be found in only the finest of comic book shops. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on my website, mlmillerwrites.com. If you really want to show your support, I also have a Patreon page at mlmiller. Look for the link to my Patreon page down below. Thank you so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your